welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. Today, we have a very special episode for you. It's our 5-year anniversary of our little humble podcast, and we're so excited to get it going with our new co-host Chase. It's so amazing to have you join us. I can't believe you've already shown up a few times and I haven't been able to, but today I am, and it's for the anniversary episode, so it's extra excited. So we'll reminisce a little bit about what's been going on for the past 5 years, and we're also going to look forward to what you can expect from the Triad from now on, as well as some of our ridiculous speculations about Ahsoka Season 2 and what some of the characters could possibly mean or relate on. So, welcome to the Triad, 5th anniversary edition.
Official Triad. We assembled it. We assembled it. We got it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm feeling good, and it's so good to see you, Nani. I just love you, so I'm just happy to see you.
I love you
and
so
Goose,
much too.
I love you too.
So, but
the Triad awakens.
You've seen me. You've seen me.
The Triad awakens.
It's so good. 5 years. Holy crap! I mean, it's so. It's wild how it just creeps up on you. Like I know that some people are good at keeping up with the times and with anniversaries and all these things. I am not one of those people. So I made a point a couple of months ago to be like, hey, when is the Triad anniversary? And I went back through all the YouTubes and podcast episodes to locate, and then I'm like, oh damn, this year is the 5 years, and it's crazy to think about because we started during COVID, and COVID was a vacuum of time, right? Where everything was compressed for a lot of us. It's still 2019. We're still kind of like in that COVID mentality. So it's like this wild thing where it feels like such a long time has gone by, but also it feels like yesterday that we started doing this. Like, I remember Nani, me texting you and Mo and being like, hey, maybe, I'm going to go insane here living by myself in this apartment in Chicago. I need some human contact. Why don't we just talk about Star Wars the way we used to do back when there was no social distancing.
Yeah.
And we were like, I remember we were like, well, if we make it to 7 episodes, we might keep this thing going.
5 years later.
That was the goal. 7 episodes. We had very low expectations.
And like more than 10 viewers at a time.
And we're still kind of at 10 viewers. So to all of you 10, if you've been with us since the beginning or if you've been facing in and out,
thank you.
Thank you. And Chase, you've had kind of a similar-ish, right? 5-year social media or podcasting or YouTubing, whatever we want to call it, experience, right? Because I know, like you're now a Triad sibling, but back in the Andor season 1 days, we were podcasting siblings from far away, from across the aisle a little bit. So why don't you tell us like what your 5 years feel like now that we're celebrating this occasion?
Well, I will say, first of all, it's so cute to hear, like, I guess it's been a long time since I heard Triad's origin story, and I love that it was like it's like I literally was like getting misty-eyed. It's so sweet. It's just so, that's the best, I think. The best of podcasts is when it's just sort of like authentically people, friends wanting to get together and hang out and celebrate things they love. So I loved hearing that. But yeah, it's like 5 years, for me, in terms of like, I mean, I was kind of we were podcast siblings earlier, and then all 3 of us got to meet at the Andor premiere, which was like a fun way for all of us to meet.
It was great.
It was so fun.
The best premiere still to this day.
I agree. But yeah, so it feels really good to be able to be with you guys for so many reasons. But I think the number one reason is because you guys remind me of that very like early time of when it was all kind of like new and fresh still. And I don't know, it just was like, I just have such fond memories of us hanging out then, and then realizing, Goose, that we were like literally neighbors in Chicago after that, because we didn't really know that. And it just is like such a beautiful origin for us 3, and it feels cool to be stepping into your guys' space as you're hitting your 5 year, and I can't wait to just keep doing it with y'all. I know, but you know what I mean.
But the odds are so crazy, right? That you just happen to be neighbors with Goose, and Goose, it was like best friends with my brother and my husband, throughout high school. And, what are the odds of all of this happening? Which, by the way, my brother just moved back to Puerto Rico, and he was very kind to remind me that he was actually the original choice for the triad. And I was like, so, you know, love you.
He did
brother.
turn it down. That's true. I did workshop some ideas with him back in the day, but you know, but now he's asking me for book recommendations. So I've been giving him some High Republic stuff. But you know, Nani, I mean, for you, I mean, congratulations to you, right? Because Triad, in a way, has been not just a journey in podcasting for all of us, but also a journey like in life for you, right? Because I remember when we started, you were in one part of your life, and now tomorrow, or when we release this, you'll already have achieved this. You're gonna achieve another because we have to say that it's another. It's not just one, but another milestone in your law journey. So like, why don't you tell us like what was that for 5 years to kind of do this and then be in law school and now being, you know, part of the bar, not just the Puerto Rico bar, but the federal bar. So watch out, everybody.
That is correct.
We can sue you. We can sue you.
So it's kind of crazy because it was when we were kind of beginning the triad journey that everything started to kind of fall into place for me, that I was like really unhappy at my job, and I kind of wanted, you know, to change dynamics and, you know, just leave it to me to, at my late 30s, decide that the change in my life was to become a lawyer. So,
well, like we say in Spanish, nunca es tarde si la dicha es buena. It's never too late if the moment is right. I don't know how to directly translate that right now. So, you know, it wasn't too late. It was probably meant to be.
Yeah. So it's been kind of a crazy journey. It's been great that I've been able to kind of share it, you know, as we've been doing the podcast and do all the different milestones that they happen. But yeah, I quit my job. I took the LSAT. I went to law school for 3 years and luckily, you know, did well.
No, and not luckily. Hard work that paid off.
Got, you know, an internship during my second year, which is the lawyers that I still work with to this day, because I got an offer after I graduated. And yeah, I passed the state bar my first try. So I've been working as a lawyer since officially with a license since January of this year. And then I just passed the federal bar. So I get sworn into that bar tomorrow. So
that is huge. That is so
congratulations. Definitely a spicy time to be part of, you know, the practice law with the federal government for, you know, reasons that everyone that hopefully listens to this podcast is aware of. If you, I mean, unless you live under a rock or don't care about such things.
It is crazy times.
It is, because what is the law? You know, I back in the day, I would have been like, well, I mean, the law is this thing that I can just ask Nani about because she's an expert about it. But now I'm just like, I don't know.
Because as they slowly dismantle the authority of the Supreme Court, you know. Yeah.
So at least so what you're saying is that it's interesting. It's not boring to be.
It's definitely not boring. But it is definitely interesting / terrifying time. But
it is for all of us, you know. So, and we'll see, you know, because just like the National Guard is now in DC, they might send it over to Chicago. So like we're all living in tumultuous times, and we're gonna take it one day at a time. And one of the things that we can do to try to not just, you know, I hate the cliche of joyous form of resistance, but you know, a way of resistance is also it is, but another way is community, and that's what we here at TRIAD of the FORCE try to do, not just community amongst the three of us, but community with all of you who are watching and listening. So, but you know, to kind of bring it back to the 5-year anniversary, I'd be remiss, right, if I didn't talk about one of our original co-hosts, Mo, who I mean, obviously a founding member. We love the Mobius strips with them. Mo, it definitely integral part of like how we talked about Star Wars, how we developed the podcast, and a beautiful friend from before I started this podcast. We started this podcast, and still a beautiful friend post that. You know, it's one of those things that definitely respected when they were like, hey, I don't think this is a thing that I want to do anymore. And it's one of those things like, hey, you should, because we always said it from the beginning, it's supposed to be fun, and if it's not fun, then it's not worth doing. And we rather maintain ships if someone guilt someone to do something that they don't want to do. So I value Mo for being with us, but also kind of having the courage to be like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, but still maintaining bonds of fellowship. So, and always welcome. Still, still a part of the triad, even from afar. So we love you, Mo.
Shout out to Mo.
We love you. Yeah, we love you. Thank you for being a part of this journey. And I know there's still a part of this journey in a different way, but that's where we have been. Where are we now? And to that, like, I'd like to talk to ask Chase. Like, Chase, what do you think? What do you think about where we are now and where Triad's going to be now, looking to the next 5 years? What do you think?
I don't know.
Since you have so much experience with us,
I will say I like that I like that we have formed this specific formation of the triad at in a moment where there's nothing really in premiere, like Andor season 2's ended, and we don't have anything super big on the horizon in the immediate future. I like that because it gives us three space to sort of explore the things that are interesting to us, that like make us excited. It creates room for us to be able to pull from all these different spaces, and also pull from outside of Star Wars too, and just sort of have fun and be organic with it from a very early time. And that being said, I'm also excited for once like shows do start coming out, and for us to do sort of like episode or season talks, because it'll just be fun. I mean, talking about a show when it's in premiere, or a movie when it comes out, is always super exciting to do. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to talk about, I don't know, everything from Star Wars to theme parks. So I kind of think we should do a Dragon Con episode and talk about Dragon Con for those who've never been.
That's that can.
It's an idea.
We might have, that might be the only episode that we have to edit, perhaps, to
right.
censor some names, cut some events, because Dragon Con is it's not your father's or your grandfather's convention. It's a different thing.
But it is like sort of like you were saying, it's like, it speaks to community in a really beautiful way in different like fandom spaces. So I'm excited to explore the Star Wars one and other ones with you too.
Sweet. Because podcasting landscape, I don't know if any of you listen to many podcasts. I know that I don't, sorry, listeners. But the vibes to me like have really, it seems like we're playing an old person's game, sorry, and in this podcasting environment, because everything I see, it's very different. It feels very, instead of having genuine conversations, it feels about chasing news and being like a trendy creator. So it's interesting to see, in just 5 years, like how that atmosphere has changed from when we started doing things to like where things are now. So so it'll be interesting, right, to see how it continues to evolve, and see if we're a dying species here. We're in we're in danger of extinction. But all we can do is be honest with ourselves, and and keep doing what we're doing in an honest way, because that's the only way to do it. But
agreed.
Speaking of shows that we're looking forward to and that we will talk about in the future, and a show that we kind of did not really, I mean, Nani, you and I talked about it with Mo for season 1, but it still was during the SAG-AFTRA and writer strikes. So like it was kind of a weird time to be able to talk about it, because we wanted to support the strikes, but also talk about it in the moment, so that we recorded them and released them after. So it was a very truncated time as a fandom to support the show, but support the actors and writers. So as regardless of the opinions everyone had about the show, it was a very weird show to have a conversation with. It wasn't as organic as Mandalorian has been, as Bad Batch when we discussed it, as obviously Andor, Acolyte, where conversation was happening during the show in a very joyful way. With Ahsoka was kind of a trepidatious time to talk about it, which I don't know. At least to me, it hindered the experience of enjoying the show a little bit. So hopefully there isn't a strike for Ahsoka season 2. But,
oh my God, don't jinx us. What are you doing, Goose?
Girl, sorry, but with the state of the world, I'm just like, that's.
I know, but
my apologies.
We don't need the extra negativity.
You're right. No, you're right. No, that was my bad. That was my bad. But you know, Ahsoka season 1. I mean, Ahsoka season 2 is around the corner ish. But you know, I think we should before speculating about season 2, because there was a photo of Eman as Ezra in season 2 that everyone lost their minds about, which kind of reminded me like, oh, right, we should talk about Ahsoka season 2. And it reminded me of a topic that Nani and I had discussing. Sorry for the redundancy there. A couple months ago that we never got around to. So here we are about to discuss it. But let's do a little retrospective on season 1 real quick. Nani, like, it's been a year, I think, or has it been more since?
I think it's been over a year.
It's been over a year since Ahsoka season 1 premiere, which is insane to talk about shows this way. Back in my day, shows were every year. But how do you remember the show now that it has time to simmer in the mind and become now an old show?
So I haven't actually rewatched it since. I will probably do that exercise, before season 2 comes out, which I think would be good to discuss amongst ourselves too, because it's a much freer environment, like you were saying, Goose, now that we don't have to worry about the writer strikes and just like actually do a deep dive into Ahsoka as a season. I had mixed feelings about it when I saw it the first time around. One, because of what we were talking about. It was kind of an anxious time to be a podcaster. I remember having conversations about, should we review it? Should we not? Do we disrespect the strike if we air, shows about it? Or are we doing a disservice to the show if we don't do anything at all? So it was a weird time. I've always kind of had my issues because, and we'll get to it, about Rosario Dawson being cast as Ahsoka. I love Rosario Dawson, don't get me wrong. She's one of ours as well. But something about her playing that character, I don't feel like it's pulled off the same way that it was in the animated shows, which is, an unrealistic expectation because the transition from animation to live action is always, hard to pull off. Yeah. And I think all in all, they did a pretty good job. But the thing is, it took me for all of you in our 5th anniversary episode that have been with us from the beginning know that it took me a really long time to watch the animated shows. But eventually, I love Star Wars animation. Clone Wars is fantastic. I honestly think that Rebels is my favorite. So there's a lot I expect from these characters. So it was kind of hit and miss. However, I did really love all the Hayden Christensen's appears showing up. I love the fact that we got to see him with Clone Wars regalia. There were amazing things. And there was so much depth into his relationship with Ahsoka, how everything changed her afterwards. And they weren't afraid to do the mystic side of the Force, which I feel like sometimes live action Star Wars shies away from doing. So I was really excited about it. I think they could do more in season 2 now that they know that season 1 pulled it off. But yeah, I have to rewatch it honestly with a clearer mind and not being like, oh, I'm gonna hate it because it's an adaptation of an animated show that I love, which is something that I think we get into our heads of. And now that it's already out there and we know that there's a 2nd season, and I know that I didn't hate it, I can watch it from the beginning with a clearer mind and heart. So that's my take.
Chase, what was yours? I remember those days. One of the fun things about that show was texting about it and just being silly, for lack of a better word, about some of the creative choices that Dave Filoni decided to incorporate in that. But that notwithstanding, what's your perspective of Ahsoka looking back on it now? With a year of maturity.
Oh, yes,
accrued.
Absolutely, yeah. My taste has only gotten more refined over the past. It has not. But I feel similar to Nani in terms of I don't really remember it, which I think is an issue I had with the show when I was watching it. Which was the things that I remember are kind of some very jarring aesthetic choices, just design choices, I just remember that, And I remember, I do remember the Rosario, the conversation around Ahsoka just being so serious, you know what I mean? And so like, she just came across as like a totally different person, and everyone's like, well, there's so much that's happened, all this stuff. And maybe like one day we'll get like something a little bit more balanced or nuanced with the performance that kind of brings out some of the more snippy side of Snips.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
so I'm in a similar spot as you. I would love for all of us to watch it again, because I do think if I watched it again, I would be like, oh, this is better than I remembered. Like, I think that
Yeah.
would be my experience watching it again. But overall, I think it was like, it was, I just, there was cool stuff happening, like we talked about with Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship. Outside of that, I don't really know what else really happened. It kind of felt like we kind of like were just hanging out in space with these characters. And that is cool for some people. I don't know if it was enough for me, but I think I'd like it more if I watched it again.
Interesting. And
so you don't think it was specifically memorable? Just
right.
in general, it's just like, okay.
Yeah,
it
it was
happened.
like,
I watched it. It was okay.
Yep. They flew a
gone.
spaceship, and I watched them
pew
fly the
pew
spaceship.
pew pew zoom, zoom. Yeah.
Pew, pew.
Zoom, zoom.
Yeah.
I
Oh my
dig it.
god, I
dig it.
forgot Thrawn was in it.
Yeah.
You guys, like,
Right.
I forget
Yeah.
these things. Like,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah. Anyway,
Some would say
flowing review.
some would say important character.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah. What
I'm
about
not,
you,
I'm not
Gustavo?
saying that I'm one of the people that would say that, but you know, for me it's interesting because I was rewatching a couple months ago, or maybe a year ago, all the Star Wars shows with my partner, who is not who used to not be a Star Wars fan.
Oh, have
And
they been converted?
I
Oh,
think I have. I
yes.
think I have done the Force's work, and I think there might be a conversion here.
Always great to have a new fan.
Have not baptized, but you know, but I think, hey, she knows what the High Republic is. So I think that's
huge.
a big deal. But back then, no fan. So didn't know jack about anything, and especially, obviously, she's seen the movies, right? And that's about the extent of it. I hadn't seen Clone Wars. I hadn't seen Rebels, and I think that that experience for me was very important in watching the show, because it gave me perspective that that I wouldn't have had otherwise, right? Because I'm coming into the show, watching it as a fan, watching it, knowing all the, well, not all the stuff. I'm not some Star Wars explained over here, but I come with baggage, and I understand context about these things, and I can make the connections with, like, oh, this is Ezra because of Rebels, and this and this and that, and Thrawn, if you read the original trilogy, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. But then watching it with her was very kind of revelatory, because at the end of it, she's like, I don't know I don't know what happened, because I don't know who any of these characters are. This feels like a sequel to something that I should have watched, and they didn't tell me I need to watch it. So like, I'm completely lost, and I'm just like, you know what? I can understand that, and it's one of those things that I wonder, would that have been fixed if the beginning of the show had a, not a previously on, but a little recap of the animated stuff, even though it might be jarring because it's this live action that's animated, and not just animated, but two different animation styles. Because Obi-Wan did it. They did the little recap of the prequels at the beginning, but then again, all of that's live action, so it kind of meshes in more seamlessly. But I wonder if Ahsoka would have benefited from something like that for all the, and I say this affectionately, right, for all the normies, and even some of the hardcore fans that are that forget a little bit, are a little rusty, would have been helpful to kind of come in and be like, okay, we got whales in Star Wars in space, we got it, we're good, we're good to go. So that perspective was important for me to be able to understand the show from a different perspective. And now with hindsight too, when you're watching the show with the excitement of new Star Wars, you kind of don't notice a lot of the faults, for lack of a better word. And one thing that I feel that Ahsoka suffered a lot from was something that the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and Mando season 2 for that matter, suffered from, which is like a volume syndrome. Like Lucasfilm was like, let's get our money's worth from this volume, and everything just felt like it's like 2 or 3 characters in a circular space, and they're all moving within a certain bound. You know, it didn't feel. And I don't mean to make this a comparison like Andor's the greatest thing in the world, even though it's, but you know, it didn't feel expansive the way Andor does, right? Where you know that they're walking around like a huge set. Here it just feels like you're walking around like maybe like 30 feet diameter. Okay, let's be generous, 60 feet diameter spot. So it feels very small, you know, even though the special effects I think were incredible, but you know, it's still it feels expansive in a small way, you know?
Yeah, but it's not as immersive. Like you don't. It's hard to buy being there.
Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
yeah.
So
I did love the world building of
mhm.
the oh my god, the witches of Dathomir and in Peridia
Mhm.
and Thrawn and Captain Enoch and like all the, you know, gold Star Destroyer, the gold plated Star
Yeah.
Destroyer with the broken armor and zombie stuff. I'm like, oh, this is all great, but it's kind of like I feel like the show ended in a this is a mid season finale instead of like this is the
Yeah,
finale of the
Yeah.
first season, which I
yeah.
think hurt the show. It's like you should be leaving us wanting more, but you shouldn't leaving us being like that's not
What
the
just
end of a
happened?
story. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the end of a
Mhm.
chapter, not a story. So
Yeah.
I mean, I might sound like a curmudgeon because at the end of the day, I did enjoy the show, but
Mhm.
you know, we criticize lovingly,
Mhm.
honestly, and earnestly. This is not meant to be a toxic takedown. We're not looking for screws and bricks, you know, like in the background of a shot to try to disassemble this, but you know, but we call it how we see them, lovingly, with love. We love Ahsoka.
Que valga la aclaración.
We love her, and
We love.
we love that she's coming back. Are you guys excited for season 2?
I am. I think that there's a lot of room for season 2 to just kind of blow season 1 out of the water, not to put like unnecessary pressure on it, but I just think that like I think what they were doing was very different in terms of Mando was still kind of did Ahsoka come out before the
Before
newest
season
season
3,
of
I think.
Mando? Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I
So
think
it's
so.
like I just feel like Ahsoka and Mando season 3 were both kind of like pushing the volume to see like what it could do and pushing a lot in terms of like Star Wars TV within a certain budget, I assume, and just like within certain like, you know, not everyone can have everything that Andor had, although I wish they could because clearly those resources were well spent on Andor.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that I think that they probably have learned a lot from
Mhm.
that first season of Ahsoka, both in terms of the production itself, but also in terms of how they want the storytelling to unfold. I think it's a lot for to ask like a writer like Dave Filoni to go from writing episodic animated series
Mhm.
that has like 22 episodes to all of a sudden like, oh, you get like 6, 7, you know,
Well,
episodes
yeah,
to
how many were
I
they?
don't
Was it
remember.
8, I think.
6? Yeah, 8, which I
8.
It
it's
was 8. And
it's
Yeah,
it's
so
8 the next time around too. So I don't
oh,
that's
it
know. Like,
is.
such a
yeah.
mistake.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I think that I like to think that season 2 will maybe be a little bit tighter, a little bit cleaner, a little bit more, a little bit, you know, learned from a little bit
Mhm,
is what
mhm.
I'd say.
Nani, are you excited for season 2? Do you think that this is gonna be more like, like, 8 episodes of undeveloped Filoni stealing Lord of the
Mm.
Rings fluff? And I
Well,
say
I
that
mean, I am
lovingly, we love Filoni.
lovingly, lovingly. I mean, I am excited because they kind of opened it up to, exploring more of the mystic side. And we know that, more Filoniverse stuff is coming. So I kind of want to see how everything that happens in season 2, like, ties in into maybe like the Mandalorian Grogu movie and like anything else that is happening in that universe.
Mhm,
We are obviously going to miss Ray Stevenson.
mhm,
I mean,
mhm,
he
mhm.
was incredibly amazing as Balin Skull. He was like one of my favorite characters. And it's really sad that right when we were starting to get a better sense of who this character is, we lost him as an actor.
Mhm.
But still, the fact that we're getting the Hound from Game of Thrones, I think, was a
Mhm.
good casting choice. So we're going to see how he pulls that off. It's always a little strange when you have a character that's very well known to pull off a new one. So I just really hope he's playing Balin Skull and not the Hound in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So we're
Well, but
gonna have to see how that happens. But I'm
yeah.
excited to see how the transition goes.
But I also hope that I mean to that I
Mm.
think you're right, but also to that point, but I want him to play Balin like his Balin Skull. You know,
yeah.
I don't want
his
him
own
to
interpretation of the character. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I don't want him
Not
to
play Ray Stevenson playing Balin's
yeah,
skull, but yeah, I get what you mean.
I feel like we kind of like got like primed for that with Andor with Bail Organa.
Yes.
That kind of was like a good exercise for my dumb fan brain.
Because that was so jarring to me when I first saw it. I was like, what? Because we had talked about like Bail Organa coming back, and obviously in all our collective minds, Bail Organa is Jimmy Smits, and then to suddenly see Benjamin Bratt, and you're like, what? Oh, Senator Organa. What just happened? Let me reorganize my brain
and
here.
Here it will definitely be less jarring because I mean, one, we know about it. Two, Balin's skull is in a legacy character that's been played by Ray Stevenson for decades.
Right.
So like I think we're hopefully the Star Wars fandom has matured since the Bail Organa incident, and we can be like, hey,
well, come on,
maybe
let's be realistic and never expect the Star Wars fandom to mature.
No,
because that's I mean, just always expect.
I agree, Nani.
In 5 years, we have learned that maturity is not it's not a quality
that from Star Wars fans. I'm sorry, all of you out there. I love all of you, but no, do not expect maturity from Star Wars fans ever.
We can do better, ourselves included. We can do better.
Hey, we'll hold space.
We'll be a better person tomorrow than we were yesterday. That's all we can try to do. But something that everyone was mentioning that I think was very surprising, right? That season 1 did, that we're, I mean, hopefully going to see it continue in season 2, and is what we're going to speculate about a little bit here, is that mystical side of the Force that we usually only get in animated stuff, all the crazy,
or the comics or the books, or but never live action. They shy away from it all the time.
That I mean, we saw obviously the Witches of Dathomir. I was gonna say Witches of Mortis. I'm hybridizing things here. Like, don't steal that from me, Lucasfilm. Witches of Mortis are mine. And we saw Witches of Dathomir and Peridia, which is still like the mystical aspect of a different Force wielder that we haven't seen before in live action. But then the end of the show ends with Balin's skull on a finger that's pointing, which I guess Dave Filoni saw Lord of the Rings. I saw it too. I was there in 2001, buddy. I saw Fellowship of the Ring, and I saw the extended version. So I know that's the Argonath, okay? You made an allusion there.
But, just deal with the fact that everybody has stolen from Tolkien and Lord of the Rings.
Correct.
So it's the fact of life that happens.
But I'm still going to bully Dave Filoni a little bit for it. Because what's going to happen next? Well, whatever. I'll make fun of him in another episode. We end with a giant statue of the Argonath. I mean, the father, the son, and then a decapitated daughter that are pointing towards, some mountain that's shining in the dark. It's just like, obviously the gods of Mortis are either going to be back, or something to do with them is going to push this story forward. So what was your guys' experience, right? Seeing the gods of Mortis return in this way in live action? Like, Nani, like what did you think when you saw like those giant statues?
So it was kind of awesome to see. I had no idea they were gonna go that far into it. Like, we got a glimpse of, the world between worlds, which was kind of insane. And
about that too.
There's a lot that happened actually that I think we forgot because it was a strange time. And I don't know if they were done in the best way for it to make them memorable, because I do think the show was trying to do too much in 8 episodes, So that was exciting because we love the Mortis arc. For all of you listening, we do have a review with Mo about the Mortis arc somewhere in our library of episodes.
That episode's great. It got us to get on the stage at Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim. Listen to that episode. That's it.
So I always love that nothing was truly explained. Like, we get them in that arc, and then we don't really know their origins. We don't know the true purpose. We kind of just know that Anakin was supposed to replace the father to balance things out, but then they all end up dying, and we never find out who the mother is. So
if there is,
there is. So
could have been immaculate.
Okay, could have been immaculate. Who knows?
Well, that doesn't make sense. But I just said makes no sense. Continue.
So it
Imagine
was
it's the other
really
way around.
cool to get that scene, but that's another reason that it makes it so jarring that that's how it ended, because you feel like it's, the midway point. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
this is the revelation. We're going into the next arc, and then that's the end. So hopefully, like you were saying, now that they've learned what was a hit and a miss season 1, that maybe it'll be more concise and we'll get to the point and it'll feel more like a self-contained story that actually gives us some answers. But I do love that we're going into these characters that are mythical, that go straight into the mythic side of the Force, that are ancient and unknown, and kind of have background going back to Star Wars Legends and stuff that we love to see, that, were characters that existed in that universe before, but then were kind of taken out. So I am excited to find out more about these characters and how they interacted, and what the inspiration for the mother, if we're really doing the mother, is. So,
Chase, what
what
were
about
your
you,
thoughts
Chase?
about the guts of Mortis?
Well, I'm remembering kind of that, like, I don't know. Here's my thing. I love the
Okay.
Mortis arc. Obviously, I don't know
Yeah.
a Star Wars fan who doesn't love it.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit like, I think I like it. Like, I love it. So I was a religious studies minor. So anything that like kind of brings in
Oh,
like
okay.
mysticism and religion and just like cosmic order, I like that. And I am hesitant because I don't want to like expect them to jump straight into it in season 2, because I remember part of my issue with season 1 was like watching Balin just sort of like, he was like, I don't like Jedi, and I'm looking for something, and I'm trying to do this thing, and like he just kind of like stays there the whole season from what I remember, like from my one time watching it. And then like to finally see that end, it was like so epic. But I'm like, okay, imagine if we knew this earlier,
All
Right.
the
and got to
people.
sort of like spend time with that and get excited about it and like understand
Yeah,
him a little bit
that's where
more.
he's coming from. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's like his goal from the beginning. It's not just that he's like a disgruntled Jedi, it's because he found something more. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm hoping
Yes.
that they like, I like the idea of them sort of announcing those 3 characters at the end of season 1, because I like to think it'll bring the stakes and sort of the excitement and the lore in right at the top of season 2. I hope that we really just kind of like start exploring that, instead of maybe just sort of like teasing it into the end of season 2 and then having another big reveal.
Like actually start with that as like bombastic start. Come okay. Oh, we have these like ones, the mystical gods of Mortis, and
right.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I mean, I don't say that to be cynical. I just say that I'm just trying to temper my own expectations. And I think that, like you said, Nani, it's like, it's so fun because it's like when we were introduced to that arc in the animated series, it was like we didn't know anything about it, and when we finished that arc, there were still so many unanswered questions.
Yeah.
And I hope we get like a big, juicy, delicious plate of food, and like in season 2, and then also still don't know things, because I kind of like think there's like a lot of magic and not knowing everything. So I like to like have a delicious plate of food and not know half the ingredients that we're used to.
You have another course coming in.
Yeah.
Once you're finishing it, she's like, oh, I smell it, but I can't see it. I mean, and like you guys were saying that, and all of a sudden, like my mind started going crazy, and this is not going to happen. But one of the things that might break everything is like, what if they do like some, because we know season 1 already did flashbacks, so they do like a flashback to Ahsoka remembering some scenes from when she was in Mortis,
from the Mortis arc. Oh.
From the Mortis arc, that from a different perspective or like a different point of view that we didn't see in the Clone Wars, and that's when we get to see Obi-Wan in his Clone Wars armor.
I shudder to think what kind of eye contacts the father and son and daughter are going to be wearing.
Have to wear. Yeah.
Maybe they'll change his hat. I don't know if that hat's gonna work in live action, but wouldn't that be awesome? You'll start season 2, just like boom, here you go, Mortis flashback. Here's
Mortis.
here are the gods, and it's Sam Witwer playing the son.
Ooh. Oh,
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting spicy here, and we're about to get spicier because Nani, you mentioned her, and I remember when season 1 ended. Star Wars fans are gonna Star Wars fan, and one of the big things that Star Wars fans are gonna do is they're gonna, go crazy with their speculation. And one of the big things that people were speculating about immediately after the Gods of Mortis were shown, pointing at the thing that Balin wants to go to was Abeloth. That was the big name that everyone was saying all over Twitter. Because back then we were still on Twitter, all over Twitter. Abeloth this and Abeloth that, and here's
Yeah.
Abeloth, and Natalie Portman could be playing Abeloth because blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, who the hell is this? Who the hell is Abeloth? I don't know.
Yeah.
But like a fake Star Wars fan, I went to Wikipedia, like most people did, because I think most people just looked up if the mother exists and found that article and we're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna pretend I know about this and just talk about a Wikipedia article. And I read that, and then that, ladies and gentlemen, that is Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs. I was reading
Yeah.
that article about Abeloth, and I was like, this is batshit. This is one of the most insane
Yet
things
awesome.
I have ever. There are awesome nuggets in there.
Yeah.
There are
But it's
nuggets in
insane.
there.
But it's insane.
But I was just like, this is tricks are for kids. This is insane. So much is a sugar. It's cocaine rush, actually, not even
Yeah.
sugar. So, for those who don't know, Abeloth is this character that was created during the dying days of what is now known as the Legends continuity, the Star Wars expanded universe. And she was a character created for this series of 9 books called Star Wars: Fate of the Jedi, which are loosely based on the Odyssey and the Greek figure Odysseus. And it was during that time in which Clone Wars was also airing. So I was reading a little bit about this, and apparently, while they were figuring out the storyboarding of the structure of the books, because there were a couple different authors that were involved in them, and I'm only speaking from reading the articles about it, folks. I did not read these books; they were not part of my consciousness when they came out. But one of the things that I was reading about is that Leland Shee told the writers that they were about to premiere these episodes for Clone Wars featuring these mystical beings, the Gods of Mortis, and that gave them the idea after like seeing the episodes and seeing the father and the son and the daughter and being like, well, where's the mother? And that's where the mother comes from, and it's Abeloth, and it's like this whole thing that's bananas and pajamas. It's wild. It's wild. So go read the article for yourself. But at first, when everyone was speculating about it, I was just like, this is too much for Filoni to do and for Lucasfilm to pull off. But time goes by, everyone cools off, and I start thinking about it. I'm just like, what if it's not? Because then I started thinking about Captain Enoch and the biblical implications for that. Obviously, the Lord of the Rings mythic stuff that's in the show, and all of biblical things that we have also seen in other Star Wars shows. And I'm just like, well, Abeloth really kind of reminded me all of a sudden of Lilith from the Apocrypha. She's not in the mainstream Bible, but if you go into that into the black market Bible or the Apocrypha, as the Catholics say, you will find Lilith, who was the first wife of Adam, and some would say, like myself, that she's the first feminist. Others would say she's the bad witch. We got to burn her at the stake. So I saw those parallels, and it's like, hey, maybe this could work in terms of like with the mythic structure and bringing this in. And there's a way in which maybe we bring in Abeloth in a not insane way, like it's like it's presented to us in those books, but a grounded way that might make sense for Ahsoka's journey, where she is in the Force, like as a counterbalance to the daughter in many ways, and the power structures of of the patriarchy with the father versus what feminism is with that structure versus the witches of Dathomir. So I think there's a lot of cool potential that I'm not sure if Filoni is able to grasp, but there's cool stuff in there. So we can go a little deeper into like Lilith and Abeloth later, but I wanted to ask you guys first, like, what are your thoughts about it? Nani, I want to start with you because I have floated this idea to you a couple months ago that we should maybe talk about if there are any parallels to Abeloth or Lilith, or if there, could be, or if it's even interesting to even talk about. So, what are your thoughts there? I know we both went to Catholic school, so we got a little bit. We got a
all
little bit.
three of us went to Catholic school.
Drama, baby.
Drama.
Yeah, that's not true. We went to Jesuit school. I'm fine. I think.
I don't have a minor in like religious studies, but I do have a minor in ancient civilization. So I actually love the Greek and the Roman myths and all of that stuff. So yeah, so there's a lot that goes into that, So obviously, most of the gods that are still around today are in some way based on the Greek ones, the Roman ones, the ancient Asian gods, like all these like pagan gods that have been around for forever, and in some way or other, our current like one gods are, based on these. So the mythos always continues, which I always find really interesting. A character like the mother, and if it's Abeloth, if it's not, however it is, because it's the mother, and she was kind of painted, like you were saying, as a villain, but am I a villain because I'm a woman? Mm-hmm. Am I a villain because I'm the temptress? Because I mean, even Eve was thought of as the bad one. Wasn't Adam. Eve was the bitch that, coerced him into committing first sin. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so the myth of Lilith.
Send them two, and they both were bad.
So the myth of Lilith is like really interesting because it's supposed to be the first wife who like disobeyed him and was, banished because she disobeyed Adam, and then became like the mother of demons. I think it's kind of cool because I was reading the Wikipedia page as well into the myth of Abeloth, and it seems like something similar happened, that she was afraid that she was going to lose immortality, became corrupted. After the father finds out that she becomes corrupted, she gets exiled, and then all her villainous that comes after that is like a sword, is fed from the fact that she was alone and abandoned, and she needs to be worshipped as a goddess. So it is just interesting. I mean, there's so many characters that are like this. Like you have like Echidna from the Greeks, who is also considered like a mother of demons and monsters, and it happens recurringly all the time that somehow these women are evil because they're like independent thinkers and kind of want to do things for themselves. So depending on how the character is maybe portrayed in Ahsoka, I think it'd be really cool because Ahsoka is a female main character who's a badass, who is an independent thinker, who has her own demons. So I think it'd be a really cool parallel about how paths are chosen, how you end up the villain, how you end up the hero, how maybe the villain isn't really the villain because nobody's really the villain in their own story,
exactly.
So I think a lot of that is really cool to explore in a character like Ahsoka, who had a dark side, who feels fear. And I think I remember this from season 1, which I did like, that she's afraid that she's going to become like Anakin because she's so similar to Anakin, and she saw the path that he took afterwards, because they were both kind of like the rebellious version of a Padawan and all these things. So I think it's going to be really interesting if they play into that and like where the character comes from and how it has anything to do with, the development of Ahsoka and her going forward in her journey. So that's my 2 cents.
Fascinating. I like that, a different perspective than I was expecting, because I forgot that you had that minor as well. But Shays, religious minors, how does that influence your opinion on Abeloth and Lilith and all these things? Like, were you familiar with Lilith? Because I know, it's not the most common concept, right? Because it's, unless you saw Sabrina the Teenage Witch, I guess. Lilith is in that show.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. You're right.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think Lilith is her. I think I see like a lot of parallels between the two characters, but for me, like selfishly, like I want the Abeloth arc to be sort of like just like a character who makes choices that are wrong. I think we've seen so many Star Wars moms be so generous and so selfless and so like wise. And I do kind of want to see a mom in Star Wars just
Okay.
like fuck shit up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that
And be
does,
selfish.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
And I think that I also think that it would be really interesting to sort of like have a character like Ahsoka, like you're mentioning, Nani, about like her struggling with her own like inner demons and her rage and her dark side. And then also a character like Hera, who is a mom, and sort of like these women, sort of like, you know, everyone has dark sides, but like these are three women who are like Ahsoka, for what we know, childless, will always be like not having a kid. You know what I mean? But then Hera has a mom and like can, you know, but Ahsoka understands what it's like to have a mom and to be a part of a family. And like I just think those three like women together could play really interesting foils for each other, because like I said, I just love the idea of like of a Star Wars mom allowing herself vengeance and allowing herself creating chaos, kind of like a Scarlet Witch vibe, but like hopefully done, you know, really well with a lot of nuance. And I don't know, I don't know, I will say I like that idea. I also really like the idea of like, when I was doing, I had no idea what Abeloth was until like Goose is like Abeloth, and I was like, okay, Abeloth. And then I texted Goose and I'm like, wait, Abeloth? And Goose is like, yes, Abeloth. And so
like
yeah,
L-O,
exactly.
like spell it.
Yeah.
Google will correct your spelling. Let's do it.
Right. But one thing I read about her story is that she's sort of like when things get too chaotic in terms of balance, she's like this great like leveler who just knocks it all down. And I kind of liked this. I kind of like was getting Mother Nature vibes, where it's like humans making all these mistakes and these, you know, these bad choices for, you know, the environment, and a Mother Nature coming in and being like, boom, like shut up, stop, you know what I mean, what you're doing is destructive, it's not working. So I thought that was kind of like thinking of Abeloth as like this force of nature for me was kind of an exciting concept for you know, for them to possibly explore.
I mean, but what
and
if
then you get
Abeloth...
like a Gaia who is Mother
Mother
Earth.
Earth. Yes, absolutely. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Abeloth could just be like a giant loth cat, you know, it's just like Abeloth, just chilling, playing with some string.
I am the original.
I am the original.
The original low cat.
Just a giant loth cat, just high off of catnip. No, but in all seriousness, it's interesting because you were mentioning like the three tiers, right, up between Abeloth and Hera and then Ahsoka, and we kind of got a little bit of that, right, with the Greek fates. That's the three witches of Dathomir. You know, you got the crone. What is it? The crone, the maiden, and the mother.
Maiden, mother, crone.
Yeah, there we go. We got those three. So maybe that's an expansion that we see with Abeloth, if Abeloth becomes a thing in the show, because we could be speculating on something that might not even occur, but
show up. Yep,
exactly. But for me, one of the things that's a thing to tread lightly, at least like in my mind, is you know, it's the thing that we always see, like the scorned woman who becomes the evil that must be defeated, and it's like, oh, so a woman gets power, and now we must defeat her. So it's like this whole thing of the power structures between the father. It's like has to be victorious and good, and but we have to put the bitch down because you got too powerful, type of thing. So I'm not saying that it can't be a compelling thing to have her, like, you know, have her be a villain in the story, but I think it needs to be a little more nuanced than just, you know, than like Maleficent, right? Maleficent in the film that I didn't see, but I read the synopsis. It's
the same thing.
It's bad because Cinderella, was it Cinderella? Is it Cinderella, the one from
Sleeping Beauty?
Definitely not Cinderella.
It's
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping
There we
Beauty.
go. Thank you.
It's Aurora.
It's because Sleeping Beauty's dad just did a dirty on her. It's just like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like
the original animated film, she does everything because she was snubbed and wasn't invited to the christening.
Okay,
that was the whole reason.
Fair. I wish I could do that. Honestly, I don't want to be invited to christenings, but any other party, I want to tear shit up. Anyway, sorry.
I have a question for Nani, if you don't mind me asking your POV as a woman. But like, for me, I feel like there was the stereotype of a woman scorned and like her wrath type of a thing. And I feel like we've gone so, not so far the other way, but I feel like everyone, I feel like the culture already understands that as a stereotype
Mm-hmm.
to the point where it's like, now we can maybe use that if we do it intentionally again. What do
Yes.
you think about that?
I think so too, because I think people were fighting so much against that version that they overcorrected. And then we
Right.
get something like everybody getting pissed that Bix decided that she wanted to retire and be a mother because that was her choice.
Damn,
And
Ahsoka's gonna fix
apparently
Andor.
that was a problem for people. Oh, she's
Nani.
not fighting wars.
Ooh,
I
ooh.
mean, yeah, a mother can decide, yeah, I don't want to put my family in danger. I can go away. Or you can go Hera and be like, oh, I'm going to continue being a general. Those options exist. You can't make the choices for women that they need to make. So I think we've been overcorrecting the issue. And I think that women can be villains as well. Just because you're a woman, oh, if you're a villain, then it's because of gender issues. When men can be both, they can be villains and can be heroes, and it's not an issue of gender. So I think that it is very cool that we can have women being both. You can be a badass bitch who's an evil mother, and then you can have the over nurturing one that wants to like heal everything, and you can have everything in the middle and in between.
Mm-hmm. And you can have a woman that changes her mind and plays the spectrum of villainy and heroism.
Of course, it's like, oh, now I'm kind of bored with this version of my life. Let's see what I can do if I do it this way. Oh, and I don't need, you don't need to be one thing your entire life.
No, exactly. And also yeah. First of all, I love that you brought up Bix because like I wrote in my notes when I was reading about Abeloth, I was like, I wrote, given the Bix discourse, I'm not sure the culture is ready for this. But yeah,
because
it's just,
we overcorrected. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like male characters can do, like you said, anything, and no one really scrutinizes it. It's actually more of an issue of like audiences over scrutinizing women characters. You know, it's like no one bats an eye, no matter what the man wants to do in a story. And it's just so odd because it's sort of like this like snake eating its own tail and sort of like the discourse creating its own misogyny. You know what I mean? It's like the story might not have that in it, but the discourse is almost creating this misogyny where it is telling a woman what she can or she cannot do. And so I agree. And thank you for talking about that so eloquently. That was amazing.
Do we think that Ahsoka, that Dave Filoni is going, because Dave Filoni I think is going to be the only writer for this show once again. Do you think that he has bless his soul, he does what he can, but do you think he has the capacity to have that depth and nuance, or do you think that he would benefit from a writer's room with women in it to help contextualize some of the decisions that he might or might not be making?
I mean, I actually think most creators should. Like, if you're writing or directing LGBTQ plus characters, you should have somebody in the room who knows that world. If you're writing women, you should have somebody that's a woman that will give you perspective. Because you don't know the experiences. And we know that Filoni loves Ahsoka because Ahsoka is his favorite. He created her, but he created a teenage version of Ahsoka who was being told how to be a warrior by a man who becomes a sadistic tyrant. So, her as a woman is a very different character after everything that has happened. So I think that there's more nuance to that. And I think that in general, the entertainment industry in the United States needs more female voices. Like, everything that women are writing right now is being super successful. Like The Morning Show with Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston is so good. It's coming for a new season and it's amazing. And they can get a lot of things from, like South Korea. Like, all their shows, almost all of them are female directed, female written, and they're really, really good. So I don't know. I think that they need perspective, especially when you have a female lead. You need a female perspective. And for them to tell you, like,
maybe
have
that's
it
not
be
right.
nuanced. Or maybe not this one, or maybe not that one, or maybe do not overcorrect and leave it up to the audiences to interpret,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've always been a fan of show, don't tell everything. Like, not everything has to be food fed to us either. Like, we know what's happening. Like, sometimes you don't need to have a really good conversation if you have good actors and just like the ambience, the music, the editing,
Right.
how every character is looking at each other is all very important. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the reasons that I like that I thought to bring this topic, and I think it's interesting, right? Like all these perspectives about Abeloth, the mother, and Lilith, right? Is because it is my. I mean, it's in the realm of plausibility, and one of the reasons that I started thinking that it would be plausible was because Dave Filoni is somehow, at least was in the past, involved with not necessarily the creation of the mother or Abeloth, but at least with
What's in the conversation?
guiding it. Because one of the interesting things that
Mm.
I was reading about the creation of the was it the Fate of the Jedi of the books? I was almost going to call them the new Jedi Order. I was going to get skewered online. The Fate of the Jedi books, was that they coordinated with Dave Filoni, and the author Denning enjoyed listening to Filoni's thoughts on the Mortis episodes, and he generously, and I quote, helped the novelists to tie Abeloth to the Mortis myth. So, this is not like George Lucas is unaware of what's happening with the EU and all the writers are going crazy writing stuff. This is a specific case in which one of the creators of the Mortis gods, who helped shepherd them into the story, involved with molding one aspect of them in a different medium. So it's not without with beyond the realm of plausibility that Filoni might be like, hey, remember that crazy stuff that I kind of helped make once upon a time? Maybe it's time to bring it back. But I hope that he would have the nuance to call you Nani, so that he can have
we got to get Nani in the writer's room. I agree.
Nuance on it, because he desperately needs to hear the words that you just said. Because God, I love Filoni, but he lives in a little silo, and now he's VP of whatever it is at Lucasfilm. So they have him isolated at Skywalker Ranch in some office. So he needs to talk to women, and not just Kathy Kennedy. Not just Kathy Kennedy.
And we already know, sorry, George Lucas, what happens when you let a creator have nobody telling them no, and nobody giving them advice.
Yeah,
and
you get some Attack of the Clones dialogue.
Yeah,
and we love Attack of the Clones. We love it, but
and
some of the dialogue.
And we get Amidala dying because she lost her will to live.
Right.
I mean, why couldn't she just die in childbirth? There, boom, she died in childbirth. Instead of,
or Anakin just actually killed her.
Or he killed. That would have been better.
Like he actually kills her. They keep her alive, like in a coma state.
Yeah.
To deliver the twins.
Yeah.
But Anakin actually kills her.
Yeah, you're gonna tell me that he can kill younglings, but not, but not her. Come on. I know the optics are bad, but so are killing younglings. So I don't know, but I'm glad.
Which, I mean, kind of is the point for Darth Vader. To happen,
exactly.
So
a life of regret.
Your villain's your villain, so that's why everybody loves the hallway scene from Rogue One, because it's like, there's Darth Vader being Darth Vader. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
But you brought up a character that I wanted to kind of start closing out this conversation with, and you were mentioning Padmé from the prequel trilogy, famously portrayed by Natalie Portman, for those who don't know. And one of the rumors that have been online since this whole Abeloth discussion was even started was that maybe one of the ways that Lucasfilm is going to bring back Natalie Portman into the Star Wars is that she would portray Abeloth. How do we feel about this, Nani? Like,
no.
How would?
No, straight up, no, nope, nope. She was Amidala. We love her. Stay in your lane. Do not suddenly try to bring this character who Snips knew as well. You can't just suddenly have the mother be Amidala when she. You can't. There's no way. Nope. I'm not okay with that. That's a straight answer. No.
I agree. I think there's the best way that they could do anything close to that is have Abeloth maybe styled in ways that are homages to Padmé's iconic looks every once in a while. If they kind of want to play with that
like she turns into a Padmé visage for Ahsoka or something to confuse her or something.
Yeah, but definitely I'm with Nani. You got to keep it separate, especially with Natalie Portman. Her being and her features are just so anthemic to the character that to see her as a different character would be the most jarring experience.
Yeah.
And it would be like, it just desecrate like Padmé's legacy. So I just,
But what if?
I would not be opposed to including her in like flashbacks like we did with. I would not be against that. I would be, and then kind of highlight her relationship with Padmé and how she was like a mother figure to her, to maybe then bringing in how Abeloth treats other people, like something like that would be cool. But having her be nope.
But okay, hear me out.
Goose. Yeah.
Hear me out. What if, because when she was pregnant with twins that are extremely powerful in the Force, while she was giving birth, there was like some essence of the Force that, as she was passing away, transferred to her, and her Force essence was shoved into wherever Abeloth lives. And Abeloth has this kind of like what Apocalypse did in the X-Men. You know, he had to switch bodies every once in a while, all that stuff. And when Padmé's
transfer his consciousness,
or in the Mummy, you know, in the Mummy when Imhotep was trying to do the thing with I forgot his girlfriend's name, but do an Imhotep thing with Abeloth, right, where she transfers herself and takes over Padmé, and then Padmé is like this. I'm going crazy here. Padmé becomes this hostage to Abeloth, and Ahsoka has to set her free. She has to set her free because she's trapped in Abeloth. She has to become Abeloth.
So you're saying like in the last second of Padmé's life, in her last breath, she was possessed?
Her consciousness traveled through the world between worlds. Into some Abeloth realm, because Abeloth sucked her out.
I think you're Abeloth,
and that's why that's why she lost the will to live, because Abeloth was sucking it out.
No.
It's quite the visual you have there, though.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think like Filoni.
Ew, don't say that. I don't want you to think like Filoni.
I'm going through portals here.
We love Filoni.
We do.
As a podcast.
He's great.
But don't start wearing cowboy hats, though.
Once you find your thing, you know. Once you find your thing.
Next time we record with Goose, he's gonna have a cowboy hat, and he's just gonna be talking about Abeloth sucking all these souls.
Yeah. Hey, don't tempt me with a good time. I'll put on contact lenses. I'll put wolf regalia everywhere. I will embrace the Filoni. I will become the Filoni.
God.
Oh no.
Well, no. I think this is a good spot to just kind of be. Hey,
I think
this is the apotheosis of how this conversation can end. But before we do wrap up, anything besides Abeloth that both of you are looking forward to in Ahsoka season 2? Chase, what are you again besides Abeloth? What are you looking forward to in season 2?
I am looking forward to just like hopefully making the galaxy feel bigger in terms of cosmic higher powers, and then even them having higher powers is sort of like an infinite ladder of like being. That's what I really hope to experience and to feel from season 2. What about you guys?
Nani, you first.
Well, one, I'm looking forward to Ezra, because I thought Ezra was actually one of my favorite things about last season. So we'll see, which is surprising because in the animated series, I thought he was like one of the most annoying characters. So this version of Ezra is actually really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know. I think I wanted to be more memorable that last one, because clearly we're having issues remembering what happened last time around. And
it's a problem with age. You know, I don't remember anything.
True.
Ask me what I did this weekend. I don't know.
But I'm looking forward to seeing, like, because I love the Witches of Dathomir. So I want to see more of like what, kind of developing their culture and where they come from and everything, because we know it's like a different dimension. And now the fact that Abeloth is a possibility, that could have been like her original planet, and the witches are kind of
they're
the daughters,
like
so
disciples of Abeloth.
So something like that I think would be really cool. So we'll just see. I mean, like you were saying, Chase, as well, having expectations and then having them broken is worse than just kind of going into it without really expecting anything and just, clear mind. It's hard for us as fans to keep that under control.
Especially fans with a podcast.
True, because then we're obligated to speculate and have theories and everything.
Just think,
we our jobs for free.
Yeah, hey. So we'll see. But I think it will be a good idea for us all to rewatch it and then have a conversation about after rewatching Ahsoka season 1, like what we
remembering
think
about
it. So
yes, I look forward to that.
I look forward to remembering. Remembering would be great.
What about you, Goose?
Not to humble brag, but I was in the room where it happened in Japan when we had the Ahsoka panel, and Filoni, Daddy Filoni, as some people call him, showed us a little sizzle. It wasn't really a sizzle reel. It was just kind of like an homage to the Empire Strikes Back trailer that they put right at the end of A New Hope back in '77, where they didn't have any actual footage because the film hadn't started filming, but they still have production images. So they just had like a narrator talk about the next film and just showing a quick slide of production images for The Empire Strikes Back. So Filoni did an homage to that, as he is known to do.
And did it with Ahsoka season 2?
And it was for Ahsoka season 2, and there were a bunch of really cool things that were being shown there. And one of the big highlights, at least for me, was seeing Thrawn, and it was confirmed that oh my God, Admiral Akbar was going to be there, and there was going to be a big space naval battle between Akbar and Thrawn. So, as people who listen to this podcast might or might not know, I like Thrawn and those Thrawn books
just a little bit.
A little bit. So, as much as I enjoy Thrawn, I was somewhat disappointed in his presence in Ahsoka season 1. So I'm looking forward to, and I don't know if it was like the cinematography or just being, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way to Lars Mikkelsen, but seeing him a little pudgy with a bad wig. But it took me a little bit out of the Thrawn that I was imagining. But I'm gonna cut him some slack because he's been lost in space for a long time. Pretty sure that exercise is not the first thing on his mind, so it's canon appropriate that this would happen.
Way to be positive, Goose.
Yeah.
Way to be positive.
I like to
spin positive in all the things. Yeah.
I like to, hey, I know that I'm not, I get it. I'm not doing Leia Day, Dragon Con. So you fill out the blanks on that one. So I'm looking forward to Thrawn and Captain Enoch naval battles and being cool bad guys, even though I think that Thrawn should be a little more nuanced as an antagonist, not a bad guy. So we'll see.
Yeah, and especially with like the whole strategist background to it. Now that we have 2 generals like planning a battle, I think there's a good opportunity there to go into that. Yeah.
It's been a minute since we've enjoyed a good Star Wars space battle because the Rise of Skywalker did not deliver. So since Rogue One, we've been hungry for a space battle, and I'm hoping that this show on Disney Plus will fulfill that need for me.
There were some good ones on Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, but they were.
I know. Andor had some good ones too. They were contained as well. It's not like the epic ones, but
that Thunder one. We can't just keep looking back at Andor. We'll just disappoint ourselves going forward. I was gonna say that. I was going to say that, I want the production and cinematography of Ahsoka to, I don't want it to look like Andor. It should be its own thing, but I want it to feel as spectacular and immersive as Andor does. I want it to look and feel like Ahsoka, but big. Yeah.
It also, Andor just feels tended to. You know what I mean? Like, it is cultivated and it is precise and it is it's doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It knows where it wants to go, and it knows what to say.
Exactly, and it knows exactly what parts to trim. It knows exactly how much water, the moisture levels in the soil, how much sunlight, direct, indirect. Like, it just has all that, So I hope it feels tended to.
And we'll tend to Ahsoka season 2 once it comes out by doing our weekly review episodes when it comes out. But before then, we will do our Ahsoka season 1 rewatch. We'll figure out the format. But we will be doing that to prepare for that. So I think this is a good point to just, Wrap it up.
So I think this is it for us today. It's been 5 years.
5 years.
Let's look forward to at least 5 more. Chase is now part of the team. We are so excited to have you. I've missed you so much. We need to meet each other in person again. I am so excited to conversations. This was such a good episode, such a great conversation.
So yes.
It was. So just look forward, everybody, to what's coming next from Triad of the Force. We will be doing episodes where we discuss things that we're into because there's no episodes running right now. Once episodes come out, we're going to do those. Rewatch would probably be upcoming. Obviously, Ahsoka season 1. I think we might do a Mando one since we never really talked about like whole seasons. So I think we should slowly but surely evaluate the shows, how they've aged with us, what we think about them, what we should look forward to. And, you know, we're leave all the information below. Leave us comments, likes. Let us know what you think about Ahsoka season 1. Let us know what you think of us as a triad for the last 5 years.
5 stars, baby. 5 stars. Yeah. 5 stars for 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
I love that.
5 stars for 5 years. We love all of you. We talk Star Wars responsibly, we think. So join the conversation. Until next time, may the Force be with you.